Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I have this Diver 65 that I'd like to share with you. As many of you know, I'm just a huge fan of retro-inspired divers, and this is probably my favorite one that's on the market today. I've been an admirer of the 65 for a couple years now, but it wasn't until recently when they came out with this bicolor dial that I couldn't resist any longer. So if you look at that dial, you'll notice that it is a black center ring with kind of a velvety or iridescent blue outer ring that those vintage markers are printed on. It's a really cool looking and very nicely executed design from the 1960s from Oris. I'm really impressed with the watch. I don't think I've seen a more fun vintage inspired watch that has this level of beauty to it. So if you look at the dial, it's actually a 3D domed dial, which is hard to manufacture and expensive to produce. And it just looks so cool under this massive bubble sapphire crystal. Look at that side profile. That is cool. You can get some really nice distortion from different angles. And yes, the sapphire crystal does have anti-reflective coating on the underside, but with something that's this dramatically domed, it's just going to be impossible to get all those reflections off. And I'm kind of glad that it's not a completely clear crystal. I mean, if you're going for the acrylic look, a vintage look, I think that this just does a perfect job, and I like how dynamic it looks in different lights. As you can see here from these videos, these drop-ins, you know, sometimes the dial is super prominent and you get a very vivid blue on that outer ring. And then sometimes the dial is almost obscured by how much reflection's coming off that crystal. It just ends up being so much fun to wear in different lights and different situations. And you almost get distracted when you look at the time to try and see what time or what day it is because of how pretty and just how cool this execution is. If we look on a macro level, you can see there's very nice printing. There is a date cutout at the 6 o'clock position. The date wheel is matching, which is always nice to see. And overall, the execution of the dial is just top notch. If we look at the lume, Oris is using Superluminova's old radium tone. So you kind of have a creamy look in daylight, and then at night it glows green. I will say the pencil style hands and the lumed bezel pip have a great application of the lume. It's nice and deep, it's bright green, and it lasts for hours. Unfortunately, I can't say the same thing about the dial. It's a thinner printing on the dial, and so it does fade a lot quicker than the hands and indices. So I would say yes, this is legible at all hours of the night only because of the hands and bezel pip and not because of the markers on the dial. The other thing I really like about this watch is just going to be the overall case shape and how it fits on the wrist. From the back of the polished case back to the top of the coated bezel is only about 10 millimeters, so it's quite a thin watch, and that's one of the reasons why it wears so comfortably. And the majority of the overall height is just in that domed sapphire crystal that is so dynamic. So here's a shot of it on my 7.25 inch wrists. You can see the 40 millimeter proportions I think look excellent. You do have 20 millimeter lugs, and I love the unprotected crown at the 3 o'clock position. It is signed, and it is just a nice execution. So like I said, I opted for it on this Tropic rubber strap. This is probably the nicest rubber strap that I've tried from any company. It's nice and thick. You can see it is ventilated, and it's just executed really well. The texture here is actually a faux carbon fiber texture. It's pretty smooth to the touch, but all of those little grooves are three-dimensional, and it just fits so comfortably. It's supple, it bends and conforms to the wrist, and I like the taper. I think that Oris did a home run on the strap. I almost just want to go out and buy an extra one and stash it away so I always have a spare because I really love this rubber strap. And not to mention the Tropic rubber just works perfectly with the vintage aesthetic. So overall, I'm absolutely head over heels for this watch. I think it's so much fun. Is it good value for money? Well, I will speak from a watch idiot savant's perspective. I'm going to have to say no there. And the reason for that is twofold. The first, the movement that Oris uses is a base Sellita SW200, which is a clone of the ETA 2824. And if you look at the specifications that Oris provides, they have a tolerance of -5 to plus 20 seconds per day. So it's a very pedestrian movement. There isn't a lot of regulation that happens from the company before it's sent to the ADs. So from that perspective, I'm kind of disappointed because this retails close to $2,000 US, and the fact that you're getting a relatively unupgraded and unregulated movement is a little disappointing. The other negative point is going to be your bezel action. Now, I like the bezel execution. I'm a fan that they used an aluminum insert as opposed to ceramic. I love that it fits the aesthetic, the original design, that it's fully indexed, and I like the fact that it's fully coated. It just works really well with that black center ring and then, of course, the black tropic strap. But the bezel action leaves something to be desired. So it's easy to grip, it's easy to turn, it's 120 clicks, it's nice and loud. The disappointing thing is there is just quite a bit of play in between clicks, and I would say more than what's acceptable for the price point. So those are my two big knocks on this, and that's why I can't say it's awesome value for money, because yeah, if you go to Hamilton, you go to other brands, you can get a name brand ETA that does have upgrades for far cheaper, and you can get actually really nice bezel action on other watches that are far cheaper. So from a value perspective, I don't think this has it, but I don't think you can find a more awesome watch at a lower price point. I mean, check out that dial. And this is an original design too. This is not copying a Rolex or an Omega. Check out the profile and that sapphire crystal, the bicolor application, the tropic strap, the unprotected crown. I mean, this is a seriously cool watch. This is one of my favorite all-time watches. I've really loved wearing it the past little while now. So is it an awesome watch? You bet. Is it a perfect watch? No. I might actually have my watchmaker open this up and regulate the movement for me, get it running within cost specs. And I might actually add the riveted style OEM bracelet in the future. They're about $300, and they're very nice tapering oyster style bracelet that I think is period fitting, and then also just looks really good. So those are my thoughts on the Oris. I'm a big fan. I'm going to be sending this out to Random Rob so he can check out, and hopefully he enjoys it as much as I've enjoyed using it the past little while. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.